Okay, so here's my contents of presentation, and I would briefly explain the overview of cooperation policy for the sanitation sector, and explain you about some case studies from the other countries, including India. So some of you may already know, but let me briefly touch upon who we are. We, JICA, is the implementing agency of Japanese ODA, and we have worked in nearly 150 countries worldwide, including the partner countries like India. So we have, as you can see here, we mainly have three modality of cooperation schemes, such as technical cooperation, which is in my capacity, and also the finance and the investment cooperation, we formerly known as ODA loan or the Japanese yen loan, and also the grant aid with in-kind support for the facility and equipment. And recently we are strengthening our partnership with private sector activities in developing countries. So let me also touch upon this part. So JICA's effort for promoting a public-private partnership focus primarily on cooperation aimed at improving the business environment in partner countries and the support infrastructure development and the improvement of public support through the PPP. So JICA has advantage for strong network among many stakeholders and the reliability in partner countries. And Japanese private firms have their own technologies, business know-how, and ideas, etc. So we think having stronger partnership would create larger socio-economic impact through co-creation with Japanese private companies. So let me also introduce you JICA's policy for sanitation sector. So our central policy towards the sector is to strengthen the comprehensive capacity of each actor to create enable environment. As the previous session highlights the many constraints and the difficulties in each area. So this is quite natural, it seems like. However, we need to carefully look into current situation and its context from the aspects such as infrastructure here, and the finance, legal framework, institutional development, and the citizens' awareness, information and education, and so on. So also stakeholders and their roles, responsibilities, and the capacity, this kind of thing need to be analyzed as well. So in other words, through these practices, we try to identify key constraints or bottleneck for realizing appropriate sanitation service chain, or to find appropriate entry point of a cooperation for developing enable environment. So this slide shows our recognition of common challenges in septage management in many of our partner countries, including India, as explained already. So I will briefly touch upon here. So first is septic tanks for treatment of black water are widely used in both urban and rural areas. And number two, so domestic wastewater treatment facility has not been adequately developed compared to black water treatment. And third, so in many cases, maintenance is not adequate for the septic tanks. So the sanitation service chain is not efficient and incomplete. So these are the challenges we are facing. So institutional matters, including finance and standardization and the implementation structure everywhere, we can find difficulties and constraints. And also enforcement of laws and regulation, including the standards, is not sufficient. And of course, operation and maintenance personnel, technical capacity, budget and financing, those in many areas we can find the difficulties. So how to develop enable environment to turn it upside down would be the necessary thing we need to consider. So especially our cooperation, many of our cooperation focusing on the large urban cities. So the urbanization is a rapid progress. So in that timing, how we can deal with that. So that is the issue. So this slide shows the concept of such a best mix of the effective septage and sewage management. So in some of the population density areas, sewage facilities may be suitable, but the septic tank may be most cost effective in rural and suburban area, as a previous session explained. So in addition, appropriate septage management is crucial for improving public health in area where there is no sewerage system. So considering this situation, there will be a certain period for having both centralized and a decentralized system at the same time. So phase-wise development and prioritization criteria will be also need to be considered. So some of the technology we are using in Japan is JICA. That is a kind of, how can I say, the technology we in Japan we are using with as a decentralized system. So this concept I just explained is closely related to materialized city-wide concept, city-wide increased sanitation, I think. So here shows a project for sanitation sector in India. So you can, I think you can see that many of them are large metropolitan cities with a sewerage project actually. So this blue line means Japanese ODA loan project, and this green line means a technical cooperation. So many of them are basically Japanese ODA loan projects. And the feature of those projects are not only the sewerage or pipe development, but in this project includes, many of them includes public toilets and also the awareness raising program for residents. Those kind of features our projects have. So, one point I forgot to mention. And in many cases, in Indian context, basically our project is based on our official request from the Indian government. So in many cases, local government or state government themselves developed a DPR, detailed project reports. And they send us DPR, and also they send the central government for their DPR to their review. And we normally discuss with the Ministry of Finance, Department of Economic Affairs. They are a focal point of the foreign aid assistance projects. So we developed the pipeline, not limited to the sanitation sector, but all the sectors, and then decide which kind of a project, which area, which target of the project will be financed for the next year or the next year, or like that. So these are the practice we are doing in India to select the candidate projects. So from here, I will introduce some cases to show you how we integrate such cooperation principles and ideas into practice, ground practice. So first case is from Phnom Penh, Cambodia. So in Phnom Penh, for the waste water supply sector, the ODA project over years greatly contribute to improve the water supply penetration rate and the non-revenue water rate. Hence, it is called the miracle of Phnom Penh. So on the other hand, rapid urbanization and the population growth increasing wastewater generation. So untreated wastewater is drained into the river environment and has become a social problem. So as shown here, JICA has been extended a continuous support or cooperation utilizing several schemes, cooperation modality, combined towards the Phnom Penh city. So I would point out the two main characteristics from here. So first is a continuous collaboration with Japanese local government, which is Kitakyushu City. So Kitakyushu City has been a strong relationship of trust with Phnom Penh city through the water supply project for more than 20 years. Can I continue? Okay. So Kitakyushu City has cooperated since the master plan development phase, and since engagement in still they are sending the dispatching the long-term expert to support institutional capacity development with their expertise in operating a sewerage service. So second is that to set up a centralized and a decentralized treatment area, distinguished area in the master plan phase. As you can see here, the center of the city is distinguished as an on-site treatment area. And this area is targeted as an off-site treatment area. So as a result of examining the feasibility study and the scale of investment of Phnom Penh, so as you already explained that sewerage treatment needs to have a huge, massive capital investment. So we came to a conclusion that the part of the treatment zone should be centralized, and the rest of the part will be a decentralized treatment. So since then, we have been working on the development of roads and systems through technical cooperation and hard infrastructure support for sewage treatment facility construction by grant aid, shown in here. So for decentralized treatment areas, the ADB, Asian Development Bank, is considering the implementation of technical support, such as the formulation of guidelines. So we consider this sort of overall planning from the initial stage that will help the better decision making for realizing sustainable and efficient investment for the city to achieve city-wide inclusive sanitation. So next case from Metro Cebu, Philippines. So Metro Cebu in Cebu Island is popular as a tourist destination and is the second largest metropolitan area in the Philippines. So Metro Cebu started to develop urban development plan called Mega Cebu Roadmap 2050 in cooperation with JICA and in this case Yokohama City in Japan since 2012 here. So in this roadmap, a goal for sewage and septic management was included. So which means a medium to long-term target for sewage management was properly considered during the urban development planning. So in the roadmap, the development of sewage treatment is considered as a main of achieving the long-term goal, not the short-term goal. So for the proper septic management, such as a periodic pooling of sludge, which mentioned very much importance in the previous session, that was set as the short-term goal. So this roadmap led a pilot project for installing sludge dewatering equipment developed by the private sector company based in Yokohama, as shown here. And through this was done through a public-private partnership project, which JICA supported too. So subsequently, grant aid for construction of a septic treatment plant and providing vacuum and the dump truck is now ongoing. So first, we are now here planning to conduct a further technical cooperation for formulating a comprehensive plan for urban sewage master plan, including centralized and decentralized treatment to obtain tangible impact in an early stage. So last but not least, I will introduce the case from India. So in this case, JICA is supporting the introduction of environmentally friendly toilets developed by a Japanese SME called Taisei Kogyo Corporation Limited. So we are piloting this technology in Varanasi and Muzaffarnagar in the state of UP. So they developed such toilets applying Japanese traditional methodology based on theory of manure pool and farming field, which they called it as a Taisei soil system, which is a unique developed by Taisei Kogyo Limited Corporation Limited. So accordingly, it can run without electricity and no water discharge and easy to maintenance. So through this piloting for school toilets and public toilets, we are expecting to confirm its advantage, usefulness and effectivity, and thereby spread the introduction of the project in target areas, and hopefully nationwide towards promoting sanitation and preventing soil and water pollution. So this is the last slide for my presentation, and summarizing the key message of our approach for wastewater management or sanitation sector. So first and foremost, it is important for the government as a key funding body to provide policymakers with information about the current situation and the necessary of taking action. So as we will discuss later, this leads policymakers understand its importance and the benefit for investment towards the sector, which subsequently leads better and sound decision-making to create enable environment. So also considering the best mix of centralized and the decentralized system with due consideration and analysis of the societal and economic context will be effective entry point for our cooperation. So in many cases, our cooperation or engagement to sanitation sector starts from master plan development or expert dispatch to analyze bottleneck, needs and advice on how to tackle with and how to prioritize the challenges ahead. So I can also point out that it would be better to develop common understanding and recognition of the appropriate pathway to realize citywide inclusive sanitation in considering the middle to long-term development planning, as we saw in the Cambodian case and the Phnom Penh's case and the Metro Sep case. So as I mentioned earlier, investment towards the sanitation sector will create not only direct impact, such as improvement of living environment, but also create many spillover effects or benefits for local economies as well. So as we saw in the case studies, we usually consider support how to make best use of cooperation schemes, such as a technical cooperation and hard support, such as a facility development or equipment support. So in addition, during our support, our advantage will be we are able to connect Japanese resources from public and the private sector. By doing so, we think we can pursue win-win situation for both countries, for both Japan and partner countries, including India. So thank you very much.